guys. I hope you're fine wherever you are. It is evening here. Let me believe that you're doing great. My name is Teacher Mark Kapolon. You can visit my Facebook page, Mwalimu Kapolon, Learn English with Mark Kapolon. You can also visit Instagram, still Mwalimu Kapolon. So it is maybe your first time you're watching this video. I'm gonna ask you to go down there and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that next time I post a video like this, YouTube will be able to notify you. Without wasting time, I just want to introduce to you our lesson for today. And today I'll be talking about before and after in time clause. So I hope that you watch this video until the end. If you have a question, just go to the comment down there and I'll reply ASAP to your questions. So let's jump right in. As I said, our lesson is before and after in a time clause. Permit me explain to you what a clause is and then we will continue from there. A clause actually is a group of words that has a subject and a verb. It is a group of words that has a subject and a verb. I want to give you one example here. As we can read, we have one of the examples that I'm going to use today. As we can read together, I ate breakfast. So that is example one. I ate breakfast. When you look at this sentence, I ate breakfast is a complete sentence. And therefore, because it is a complete sentence, we are going to say it is a main clause. It is a main clause. A main clause, I ate breakfast. Now, we have B, we can read B together, before I went to class. Now, when you look at this sentence, before I went to class, it is incomplete sentence. And this sentence, we can name it as time clause. So, in this case, we have two clauses. We have the first one, main clause, and the second one is time clause. When you look at both A and B, A, we have a subject and a verb, and again in B, we have a subject and a verb. Now, the first one, which is A, I ate breakfast, it is a main clause. Don't forget I say that a main clause is a group of words that has a subject and a verb. And when you look at B again, we have a subject and a verb. These are two different clauses. Now, when you look at this first one, which is I ate breakfast, it is a main clause. It is a complete sentence. We all understand. Now, take a granted, someone is telling you before I went to class. You're like, what happened? This sentence is incomplete and therefore it must be connected to a main clause in order to bring the main idea. In this case, we are going to join the two clauses. The first one, which is a main clause, to what? To a time clause. And we can read together here and see, I ate breakfast before I went to class. Now that one is a complete sentence. We can all understand, I ate breakfast before I went to class. Now, what do I mean when you look at this sentence? We have both main clause and time clause. We can separate. You see, we have I ate breakfast before I went to class. So we don't say I ate breakfast will be what? This one is a main clause. I ate breakfast is a main clause. And when you look at before I went to class, before I went to class becomes what? A time clause. Now, in this case, these two sentences we have joined together, time clause and main clause, in order to bring the main idea. And now the question is here, somebody somewhere is asking, teacher, is it possible to begin with a time clause and then ends in a main clause? Yes, it is possible. Though we have some rules that I'll be explaining to you, the steps that you're supposed to follow in case you want to begin with a time clause and then end in a main clause. Now, let's look at B. Before I went to class, I ate breakfast. Now we have interchanged this sentence. We began with what? We have begun with what? With a time clause. Before I went to class, this one becomes our time clause, and then I ate breakfast, which is our main clause. Now, look at this. I ate breakfast before I went to class. Before I went to class, I ate breakfast. Now my question is, what is the difference between the two sentences, C and D? Actually, when you look at the nature of the two sentences, they basically have the same meaning. When you say I ate breakfast before I went to class, or before I went to class, I ate breakfast, actually they have the same meaning. Now, but there are some steps that you're supposed to follow as you interchange. Look here, when you begin with a time clause, there is no comma to separate it from a time clause. But the rule is when you begin with a time clause, make sure that you use a comma to separate it from a main clause. Look here, before I went to class, you must have this comma to separate it from a main clause. Before I went to class, put a comma, I ate breakfast. That is how it is. Now, we have talked about before, now we want to come to after. Now, look at after. Let's begin. We have example E that we can read together if you can be able to view. We took a walk after we finished our work. We took a walk after we finished our work. Now, in this sentence, maybe I can ask you a question. Which clause comes first? We took a walk after we finished our work. Is it time clause or main clause? Good. It is a main clause. We took a walk. That one is a main clause because it is a complete sentence. Remember that main clause is a complete sentence and time clause is incomplete sentence. So this one is a time clause, and then we have after we finished our work. After we finished our work is a what? Is a time clause. We took a walk, and so this one is a main clause. We took a walk, it is a complete sentence as I say. But this one, after we finished our work, is a time clause because if someone tells you after we finished our work, actually, do you get anything? Do you understand that? Maybe, of course, you'll ask a question, what happened? Okay, so now when we join the two together, when you begin with a main clause and then time clause, remember there is no comma to separate it. But when you begin with a time clause, have a look at this. After we finish our work, we have comma to separate it from a main clause. After we finish our work, we took a walk. Okay, so after we finish our work is what? This one is a time clause. And then we took a walk, this one becomes what? A main clause. Now, I just want to sum up in a nutshell, before and after are used to introduce a time clause. Before and after are used to introduce a time clause in a sentence. And don't forget that a clause is a group of words that has a subject and a verb. And I said again that a time clause can be, or you can begin with a time clause and then end in a main clause. It depends with how you want to express yourself. But one thing you have to remember that if you begin with a time clause, remember to use a comma before a main clause. A comma will always separate it from a what? From a main clause. If you begin with what? With a time clause. I hope you understood the lesson for today. Thank you so much for watching. Once again, please, it is your first time, make sure you hit the subscribe button there. Subscribe to my channel. You can give it a thumbs up. And if you have a question, kindly just go down there. I'll respond to your question. And if you have also the idea that you think it can contribute this lesson, you are allowed to do that and I will respond to you. Thank you so much. Bye bye. See you again to another lesson. Bye. Take care.